Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today we are looking at the Type 8 shuttle. So, as we start off here on Daystrom's website, let's kind of scroll down for what their write up is. And as you can see, most of this is Daystrom Institute's speculation. So, Starfleet had always intended the Type 6 to be something of a transition, and by 2370, they were satisfied that the new technology had been introduced without difficulties. It had therefore decided to press on with a replacement which would abandon the Type 3 structure, instead using a completely purpose-designed hull. Originally, it was planned to use the same isolinear computer system developed for the Type 6, but at a last moment, Starfleet decided to use a system based on binaural gel packs. This inevitably tied in the development of the Type 8 shuttle to the Intrepid class project. Intrepid itself had been launched in 2370, the first Starfleet ship fitted with the BNG computers. Since the crews of these ships had the most experience with the systems, it was to be the Intrepids that the first group of production of the Type 8s were to be sent in 2371. When uh, discussing the Type 8, comparisons to the Type 6 were inevitable. The Type 8 is slightly longer and more streamlined to increase the operating efficiency within planetary atmospheres and to provide slightly greater internal volume. The nacelles are a considerably more advanced design and include buzzard collectors, which allow self replenishment of the deuterium tanks, uh, um, and so allow the range to be extended almost indefinitely at impulse speed. A considerable improvement in warp field efficiency has also allowed much higher warp speeds to be achieved in the Type 8. Internally, the layout is virtually identical to the Type 6, although the field of view for the crew has been somewhat reduced and there is slightly more room in the passenger compartment. The use of the integrated hull design rather than the bolt together sections of the Type 6 has led to an increase in the overall structural strength by some 15%. It has extended the expected life from 45 to 60 years. As the Type 6, the standard Type 8 carries no armament, but there are uh, some special operation models. This is equipped with the same low capacity shield system, but has Type 5 rather than Type 4 phaser emitters. Special Ops version of the Type 8 also features several classified measures to reduce the radiated energy signature virtually to nothing and so make the craft much harder to detect, although Starfleet's policy forbids special operations craft from operating without markings. The Type 8 special ops shuttles are usually completed in a black color scheme with markings in a slightly grayed shade, which makes them virtually impossible to identify from more than a handful of meters away. The Type 8 has proved extremely reliable and useful in service. The original plan was to replace the Type 6 in frontier service, or to replace the Type 6 in frontline service, uh, relegating the shuttle to less important theaters and eventually replace them altogether. However, the Dominion War ongoing, uh, with the Dominion War ongoing, it has been decided to retain the Type 6 in service alongside its more modern successor. The type the production of the Type 8 continues, but it is thought that the proportion of these craft produced to the special operations standard has risen from 1% to overall 75% since the outbreak of the Dominion War. This would make the Type 8 Starfleet standard near system and in-system special operations craft. So, with me trying to read all that in the morning here, uh, what we have is a shuttlecraft produced from 2371 to present, has a length of 6 meters, beam of 4.4 meters, and a height of 2.7 meters, being only one deck. It is a mass of 3.38 metric tons, has a crew of one with the ability for 6 passengers. In a diplomatic model, it is only relegated to having 2 passengers. It does have two Type 5 phaser banks with a total output of 200 terawatts. System shield standard being a capacity of 13,500 terajoules, has a light duranium titanium single hull, and a low level structural integrity field. Has a normal cruise of 2.6, a maximum cruise of 3, a warp 3, and a maximum rated warp speed of 3.2 for 36 hours. We do have a beam firepower of 4. There are no torpedoes on board. Weapon range and accuracy is listed as a 5. Shield strength is a 5. Hull armor is a 3.13. Speed is a 25. And combat maneuverability is a 22,900. Um, Daystrom's overall strength index rates it as a 33. The diplomatic capacity is a 2. Now, as stated, the expected hull life is out to 60 years, which is very phenomenal, uh, with a minor and standard refit being every year and a major refit every 15 years. So that's what we get from Daystrom. And of course, as always, I'm always kind of, somewhat envious of the fact that, wherever they're located, they have some backstage knowledge when they get to look at some of this stuff. They have Canon source backstage, which is in green, which gives us the length of 6 meters and the height of 2.7 meters tall. Um, whether these people are doing it and they're they have family members that are part of the industry or they themselves are part of the industry. It's always amazing. And it's wonderful that someone with those connections are able to bring us this information as they talk back and forth amongst themselves and with some of the backstage uh, people that are actually working on some of this stuff. So, all right, let's switch on over and see what we have for our D6 Galaxy. All right, so looking at our Federation Type 8 shuttlecraft. Uh, Now, remember, these are coming to us from D6 Holocron. So, of course, they're going to get their information from Memory Alpha and Memory Beta. So we have this listed as Starfighter scale. Length is 7.1 meters, beam being 3.8 meters, and height is 2.7 meters. Almost identical to what we had there on Daystrom, which does make a lot of sense. The ship mass is slightly heavier. They have it at 4.21 metric tons, and this is a size 2 starship. We do have an autopilot of 1D plus 2, so not the greatest autopilot, but it will do in a pinch. Has a crew of 2, a skeleton crew of 1 can handle this with a plus 5 difficulty. We do have room for 6 passengers. Um, Cargo capacity is none. Now, if I was to take this and save from the other shuttles that we've been doing, I would say probably 1 metric ton if we don't have any actual passengers on board. We do have consumables for a week. Now we do have a warp drive of. Now this is different from what we had listed. 1.2 max rating is a 2, and max listed is a warp 3 for 48 hours. Of course, we're going to have a nav computer. Maneuverability is a 2D. Space speed is 5. Atmospheric speed is 850 kilometers an hour. We do have a hull strength of 2D plus 1. Shields of 1. So this is going to be Really, I guess the standard is more of your special operations, seeing that 75% of them are being produced that way. Uh, Passively, we can scan out to 3 kilometers with a +1 bonus. A active search or scan is out to 8 kilometers with a +2 bonus. Our active search being out to 12 kilometers at a 1D +1 bonus, and a focus out to 500 meters at a 1D +2 bonus. We do have two Class Alpha tractor beams, one forward, one aft, with a strength of 3D. Uh, Now, what we don't see listed here are the weapons themselves. So, I guess our standard now is going to have shields, and we don't have the weapons listed. Although the picture here that we have is going to be our special operations. Okay, we do have a transporter, one panel for a two-person capacity. Um, the description that we have from our D6 Holocron: the Type 8 shuttlecraft is an auxiliary craft carried by starships and space stations in the 24th century. The standard version of the Type 8 had no weapons, although at least two phaser emitters could be fitted onto the craft. So, just keeping it at that. Now, in the D6 universe, it's easy to modify things a little bit more than some of the other systems that I've dealt with. Now, there's plenty of systems out there, and more systems that I've not played than the ones I have. Because I mean, I know there's GURPS. There's, to my knowledge, at least what 4 or 5 iterations of Star Trek itself, as well as um, many other science fiction based um, role playing games and all that. I mean, throughout the years, I know that many companies have come and gone. Most notably, here is West End Games. But it is fun to be able to bring this, and because I do know the system, and it is a nice, easily adaptable system, which is why we're here. So I'm sure that we could always find some other Type 5, either from Type 7 shuttle or Type 9 shuttle or something like that, and we could easily throw that in there. But we're going to continue on with our shuttle line. It's fun having the auxiliary craft to be able to sit here and kind of work with. And in my mind, I think for budding captains and that, to have a set shuttle crew for certain operations and that, um, or set shuttle pilots maybe, um, as they rotate, learning on the shuttles and then getting to being pilots for some of the larger craft, and that kind of works out. Or maybe they pull a shift here and a shift there. Either way, it gives a wide variety of experiences. Either way. So, with that being said, thank you so very much for stopping by. It's always wonderful having you here, and I will see you in the next video.